Hi, welcome to Smith and Grezzy. We're going to do something a little different this month. We're going to talk about the use of arrangements of classical music in your concert programs. So, Sandy, we've been watching some of the programs being put up by bands for quite a while, haven't we?
Yeah.
And one thing I've noticed is that band programs are heading more towards poppy type numbers. Um, and dare I say it, music that doesn't really have much substance to it. And I've been to various concerts and I come across people saying, I wish they'd play some proper music.
It's strange because you see what we're not going to advocate is just a wholesale return to let's play music, old crap from 60 years ago or something like
No.
that. There's got to be a balance, but what worries me a little bit, and we'll get into all the myriad of reasons why we think it's a good idea to play some of this stuff, or at least to feature this sort of music in part of your programs, is because of the worth it is to make bands sound better, and to get the standards up.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a little bit more difficult. There's no hiding that.
no, it certainly is. Yeah, no, it's more difficult. I mean, when we are going to go in, we're going to split this into two podcasts. So we'll explain a bit more about that as we go. But people who decry the use of classical music, and we're not going to get into this terribly detailed at the minute because it loses all the colours of the original and all that.
Yeah.
We can explain about that, but there's a bit of a sort of reverse snobbery with this, I think.
Well,
And that,
for instance, if you're playing a pop tune, it's hardly going to sound like the Beatles
exactly.
or.
No, I know.
Yeah.
And then another one you get is we have enough original music not to have bother with these sort of pieces anymore. I disagree with that on grounds of quality.
Yeah, it's where it's been sourced from, isn't it?
I remember a while ago, Howard Snell, probably not one of the best brass band arranger who has ever put pen to paper,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I still have an article that he wrote, and he was asked something on a similar lines when he was at the height of his work with Desford and Foden's,
Yeah.
especially those two bands. And he was on about the type of people who decried his taking music from the classical genre in the broadest sense,
Yeah.
and doing it. I'll read you exactly what he said, because I don't think I can sum it up anywhere near as good as he can. These type of purists and snobs don't pay my wages and frankly don't interest me very much. I'm more interested in giving my players quality music from quality composers, even if it is arranged and a little down the road from the original. You get better players from playing better music. That's all I'm interested in. That sums it up.
Yeah, it does.
For me.
I was lucky to spend a bit of time with Howard at Desford, and every rehearsal I cherished it. I couldn't wait to get there because there was something new and interesting every time.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that I remember Jeff Whittam said to me a long time ago when he was teaching me. Big bands play big music.
Yeah.
And by that he meant, if you want to be a really good, top-notch technical and musical band, you have to play music that allows that to come through.
Yeah.
And it's not playing easy-ozy stuff that you can just get up in one or two rehearsals.
Yeah.
You need to put some work in. There's another Howard Snell quote from Arthur Taylor's book, Labour and Love. If the brass band movement could improve its repertoire by, say, 20%, they would come out of the shadows of cultural life in England and break through into general acceptance. I'm not sure whether that's happened since that was written at all. To me, this is Howard again, to me, those who are the real traitors to the brass band movement are not the people who come in from outside, but those people in the movement who insist on playing crap all the time, because what they're doing is selling something which is really good at an extremely low price. They devalue it and they're doing the bands a disservice. Now, that could cover a lot of things, not just arrangements, but we're talking about playing good quality, serious music as well.
Yeah.
And during that time, if you look at people like Howard Snell, Jim Watson, in the bands he had, mainly Desford Dyke, I would think probably. People might not know these people now. Jeffrey Brand was the same, Bram Tovey, Elgar Howarth.
Yeah,
They were all bringing things in from their orchestral world and improving bands' repertoire by the sort of things.
Yeah.
If you look back to the early years of brass bands, a lot of music, well, let's look at why these bands were put together. A lot of them were works bands, and they were put together by the owners of the factories and the mills and the coal mines and everything else as a bit of a cultural thing for their workers to take part in, which basically, well, they were trying to keep the workers out of the pub, right? I don't know how far that succeeded, but it was to give them a bit of cultural life and artistic life. So bands, when they started, early band music was sourced from the current art music of the day, operas, light operas,
ballet music.
Yeah. Well-known melodies and excerpts from classical, and we're using classical in the broadest sense.
Yeah, I remember, Sandy, they used to do produce like selections.
Yeah.
You know, and they were done for contests, weren't they?
They
But there were
were.
cracking numbers in there.
If anybody's had a rake through their own band library, which I would advise just to find out, you'll find all these things, gems of Sullivan, you know, recollections of Meyerbeer or whatever else and all that. And some of them can be a bit clunky, but what you got to remember is to go back to those times. These were used as test pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one here, and we're going to play a few excerpts. We've got 3 little excerpts of a selection that has been put together. This is donkey's years old. The recording's a bit clunky, but it'll illustrate a point. And it was themes from Beethoven Symphony No. 5. And there are 3 excerpts here. I'm hoping that listeners will already be acquainted with Beethoven Symphony No. 5. And if not, why not? But it'll give us an idea as to the sort of things that they were playing at the time. Here's excerpt number 2.
Here is excerpt number 3. So we've said, Sandy, that some of these like own choice selections were used in competitions, and they reached probably the zenith with arrangements by Alexander Owen.
Yeah,
when he was his input with Bessers of the Barn and other bands. We found quite a few in Black Dyke's library when we were there, didn't we?
we did, and it was the sort of thing that Elgar Howarth used to dig out when he was at Grimethorpe. I remember playing at least one of these famous pieces. I mean, basically, what used to happen was there would be the likes of Alec Owen and other well-known conductors would put together these mammoth selections from current operas.
Yeah.
Right. So the famous one, and we're going to have a listen to a bit of it now, Wagner's Die Valkyrie.
Yeah.
35 minutes long.
Wow.
Right. So when you were up against, and there was a lot of these sort of head-to-head challenges, Bessie's against Meltham and Meltham Mills, or bands like that, and they would turn up to hundreds and hundreds of people listening, and they would play these mammoth things. I mean, if anyone's ever played them, they're extraordinary.
Well, we've certainly played this one, haven't we?
Yeah, let's have a listen.
Sandy, just before we do play it, in them contests, were bands picking their own arrangements, all different, or did they have to pick the same?
No. I mean, if we're going slightly off piste with this one, right back in the early days of Bellevue, for instance, British Open, bands would be provided with like a sort of conductor type copy, like 3 or 4 staves of the selection of Rossini's works by Charles Godfrey or something like that. He would be the arranger of it. The bands would be provided with this short score, which the conductors would then score for their own bands. Right. So because there was a mixture still in the very, very early days of sax horns and ophicleides and key bugles and all sorts of things, and until it became standardized, these were sent out to conductors of bands who would then do their own scoring.
So what we're saying is that the scoring in itself was a competition between the arrangers. Yeah. So, like Sandy said, let's go and have a listen to Die Valkyrie arranged by Alec Owen.
So, I mean, back in the end of the 19th century, bands were playing a lot of music from all of that century, and indeed lots of current, what you could term contemporary repertoire
of that time.
Yeah. I mean, there is, and we'll get onto this in the second podcast. There's an amazing arrangement in Black Dyke's wonderful library of Clair de Lune by Debussy.
I remember playing this. We used to love it, didn't we?
Yeah, he was an organist, I think, and
he's from Halifax.
Yeah. Well, I've recorded this manuscript parts.
Yeah.
Handwritten, beautifully written, and manuscript parts. And what struck me when we played that years ago was that was arranged. The band arrangement was done when Debussy was still alive, and he died in 1918. Debussy. Yeah. So that arrangement was done as a piece of contemporary music.
Yeah.
And we will get into that later on. But when you think back to these days, you think, oh, this is all old-fashioned yellow music that, at the time it was written, at the time these arrangements were done, these were contemporary music.
Yeah.
They were playing these were the bee's knees of what was going on.
But when we played it, Sandy, it was probably in the early 90s, and the band was fairly young, and they lapped it up.
Yeah.
They didn't just dismiss it because they thought, it's a load of rubbish. The scoring was incredible.
Yeah, it was, and just the colours you got out of it as well.
Yeah,
were amazing. So basically, we're going to have a look right through what we're going to widely term classical music, and split it up into 6 eras. So we've got early music up to about 1600. I know there are lots of different names for all of this, but these are our categories we're going to use. Baroque music, 1600 to about 1750. And again, the dates, they're slightly ambiguous.
Yeah.
Depends where you look. Classical music, 1750 to 1820. Then there's the Romantic era, which we've split into two eras, 1820 to 1850, and then later Romantic era, 1850 to 1900. And then we've got the final one, 20th century onwards.
Yes.
Which covers all that sort of stuff. So as far as early music is concerned, I think we've got to start with an absolute classic from the arranging pen of Elgar Howarth, an absolute master.
This was originally done for Philip Jones, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. The Earl of Oxford March, he originally did it for Philip Jones. Again, they were pioneers in this sort of stuff.
Yes.
And Gary Howarth was looking for music that had not been tapped into until that time.
Yeah.
We're talking late 60s, early 70s. Let's have a listen to a bit of the Earl of Oxford's March.
So, Sandy, on that recording, I'm sensing the restrained majesty, the poise, the clarity, and the balance.
Yeah, it's just everything you want from good brass playing is contained in that piece.
Yeah. And the thing about listening to that sort of music played by Philip Jones, we're listening to top-notch players.
Yeah.
We're listening to Philip Jones himself, Elgar Howarth, Jim Watson, Ivor James, Frank Lloyd, John Iveson, and the wonderful John Fletcher.
Yeah, absolutely. For tuba players, John Fletcher's
the god
was a god, you know. And I mean, I remember years ago when we were kids, me and Andy Duncan listening to this stuff, and Andy became a tuba player.
Yeah.
And he worshipped John Fletcher.
Oh, me too.
We just couldn't get enough of listening to these guys playing.
His production was unreal.
You know, so there's so much to be learned from playing this sort of music.
And as well, listening to quality examples of it.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to give sort of honourable mentions to stuff that people can research or dig into. These aren't the only ones. I just want people to try and maybe reconnect with their own libraries, see what they can find in there. So Alex Burney did a lovely set of Renaissance dances.
He did.
They got played a fair bit. I did one of 4 Scottish Renaissance dances, same sort of thing. But the music suits the instruments.
It does.
You know, there's an arrangement that Tredegar did of the Talus Sperminalium, the big choral piece.
It's really nice, this.
But I mean, it's a big project, that,
yeah,
and I'm not saying we should be sticking this on it, you know, whether it be bandstand or whatever else, but there would be occasions for it.
Yeah.
The band's recently been in Durham Cathedral playing concerts. There's more coming up, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Anything like that where there's an acoustic that would lend itself. And then you can go back to all the Gabrielli things. You know, there are numerous arrangements of these. One of the big things you get about this is, well, the arrangements are not done, you know, particularly well, or I don't think that's the case at all. You know, you can search around, you can find a decent arrangement, and it's the style, it's what the MDs and the players put into it stylistically that makes it work or not.
Yeah.
So that sort of is the early era.
And you know, Sandy, there's some great examples, what we've just shown, that could be put on programs. Yes, that's old music. So what? It's quality music.
Yeah. I think one of the things we're trying to show with this is that when you're playing pieces by proper composers, you can't just sort of half-arse your way through them, you know.
No.
Like you can with a lot of sort of stuff that seems to be going on bandstands at the minute. it's a lot of it is just based on popular music,
Yeah.
But this stuff, I don't think, one of the things that people say is, well, they won't know it. Well, they won't know it if you don't play it.
No.
There's a bit of that involved, but you've also got to be thinking about how are you going to improve your band? Do bands want to improve, or are they quite happy just doing this sort of, stuff? So the next era is the Baroque era, which, if you look at the wider meaning of Baroque, it means a lot more intricate and outlandish visual style, and it was reflected in the music as well, where you had a melody with harmonic support coming from a keyboard player, a lot of intricate, quasi-improvised keyboard parts, but it's also characterized the period of the Baroque in music by the rise of the fugue and of opera. The first opera was composed about 1600. So there's lots of great stuff here, but there is one name towering above all others, Johann Sebastian Bach. There are so many works that have been done well for band.
Sandy, I remember when I was at Desford many years ago, Howard brought in an arrangement of Bach's Air on a Suite number 3 in D.
Yeah.
And he had the cornets in an arc right around the band, and the tune would swirl around the band. It was unbelievable. It was such a beautiful piece. It stuck with me for many years, and I've always wanted to do it again.
There was an old arrangement which I played before then that I think Dennis Wright did it. It mainly featured the horn section.
Yeah.
Just in unison, playing the melody and the accompaniment stuff. It's fine. It suits. It works. But Howard did take it and made the same piece. Didn't add anything to it. He's purely scored what Bach wrote.
Yeah.
And maybe a few little amendments to fill out certain harmonies at times and that. But it created such beauty in the line of it.
So let's have a little listen to Bach's Air from Suite number 3 in D.
So there you go. I mean, just listen to that interplay lines, everything. It's so beautiful. But it takes class to play that properly. And I think bands can only benefit by playing that.
Absolutely. If you can't get it right first time, keep going at it, and eventually you've got something rather special in your concert programs.
So what we said before about Bach perfecting the fugue and all that, here's a little one, literally called Little Fugue in G minor. I arranged for Grindthorpe back in the early 2000s.
Is this the one you did at Brassing concert?
Yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic piece. Not a single note of it is mine. It's all Bach. There's no, no padding, no filling, no nothing. It's just the scoring.
Yeah.
But I just think it works so well, and it builds and builds and builds.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick listen to a bit of the Little Fugue in G minor by Bach.
Well, that was wonderful. There's, we've not got to forget Purcell, Vivaldi, and Handel.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of others. Vivaldi, Howard did Winter, didn't he, from the
He
Four
did.
Seasons? There's lots
Very
of bits
well.
to handle.
Philip Harper's done some
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
Four Seasons as well. Very
Yeah.
well.
There's all sorts of things that people can look up. You know, Charpentier, the famous Te Deum, stuff like that. Dig
Yeah.
in the library and find out what there is.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of these pieces now. You would say they're sort of classic FM type pieces.
Yeah.
It's the sort of stuff that they run on.
I call it music for the masses.
Yeah. Back to
Um,
your Andre Rieu hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
Because I go to his concerts and everybody's got a smile on their face because he plays music for the masses.
It's just all of the pieces we're going to look at, and there are loads, tons and tons more. Every one of them takes precision, care,
It does.
concentration to bring off.
You can't just bash away at
You
this.
can't just throw it out like it's a pop song or something,
No.
And that's unfortunately at the moment seems to be the trend. But I think bands are missing a trick.
Yeah.
I think that you could be doing some of this stuff in their concerts successfully.
So, Sandy, we move towards the classical era, 1750 to 1820.
Yeah.
This is obviously a period of the ever hitters of classical music, Mozart, Beethoven, Haydn, who gave the world some of the greatest music ever composed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
This was a time when musicians returned to more ordered forms and strict compositional rules and regulations to govern their pursuit of what they saw as musical perfection.
Yeah, this is where you got the development of certain forms of music, sonata form, lots of other things as well. And they were under strict rules to do it. It can be potentially a bit more difficult for a brass band to make some of this work.
Yeah.
Because of that, a lot of the music it's not, they don't have programmatic titles as such, which makes it, symphony number, whatever, movement number 3, or, they're a little bit more highbrow, if you want to put it like that. But there are things that work. And I think that the thing that sometimes trips bands up with this stuff is a style problem.
Well, the biggest style problem in brass band arrangements for me is Mozart.
Yeah.
The bands regularly get the wrong style. When it's pointed out to, it's got to be a light style. It's not blood and thunder. And
I mean, let's face it, bands like the sound of their own volume. I don't know, that's not a good phrase, but you know what I mean? And bands approach, I've seen this lots of times. We're going to listen to a little excerpt from the Magic Flute Overture of Mozart. And it's definitely a style problem to make this work or not. It's not Derek Bourgeois.
No.
It's not Stravinsky. It's not Mahler. It's Mozart. So you don't, and when it says 40, you don't need to rip the backside of it.
Yeah.
But it can be, again, very successfully done as long as the conductor knows what he or she is doing.
Yes.
And as long as the players get on board with doing it as well.
Yeah.
Avoid playing really heavy. Avoid banging it out like you've got to prove every single time you see 40 how muscular you are. It's a different style of playing.
Reminds me of that John Smith's advert, Have It.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. But let's have a listen to the Magic Flute Overture. So overtures were beginning to become quite popular in band programs. And another classical composer who provided material that was useful for this was Beethoven. An Egmont overture is still a staple of orchestral concerts. This is the thing about this music. It's still played all over the world.
Yeah. But it's disappearing from brass bands.
It is a bit, although it's disappearing, I think, more in this country than it is abroad, and we'll
Yes.
get onto that a bit after we've listened to these. So we're going to listen to a couple of short extracts from Beethoven's Egmont Overture. The first one is from near the beginning, where there's a sighing figure. You'll hear it. Plenty of opportunity for control and solo lines. You'll hear it. It's quite exposed, which transforms it. Sort of, you can hear it hurrying and becoming more agitated into an allegro, which is just full of typical Beethoven passion and drive. The second excerpt is from the very end of the piece, which builds to a thrilling climax. So here are the two excerpts from Beethoven's Egmont Overture.
What a great performance. Brass band Emmental, conducted by Jan Müller.
Yeah, it is good, and it brings me on to a little point. I think the bands on the continent they're still pretty engaged with all this sort of music.
They seem to be.
And don't you think,
especially in Switzerland?
Switzerland especially, they do have the Swiss Open contest, I think.
Yes,
the back
I've
end of
played
the
in it,
year,
yeah.
and part of that, the remit for that is a test piece, etc. But they play a classical transcription.
Yes.
And there's all sorts of exciting stuff going on there.
There
I
is.
think they still see the value of it.
They do.
But the eagle-eared amongst you might have noticed that there was a side drum and bass drum in the mix in the ending of the Egmont Overture, alongside Beethoven's original timpani. I don't mind that, as
No,
long
I
as
don't.
it's
If
done
it's adding
subtly.
colour.
And again, this is where you get these sort of reverse purists. You can't add this, that, and the other, or you lose the colour and all that. Try and make it work for a brass band.
Yeah.
Is basically, and it doesn't detract from it at all. I just think it adds a little bit to that, as long as it's done subtly and as long as it's done stylishly.
Yeah.
The honourable mentions for the classical era, they're a little bit harder to come by. I remember Howard Snell did a wonderful arrangement of the Moonlight Sonata of Beethoven, the middle movement.
He did.
The themes. Mr. Howard brought that to Grimethorpe.
Did he?
And he was enthralled by that.
Yeah.
And again, it was one of Howard's. It's just so subtly scored and stuff.
Yeah.
You know. But I think, yes, it does take a lot more concentration,
Yeah.
application to play.
Yeah.
But what bands are losing out on is this ability. See, I had a thought a couple of days ago about, do bands do they only concentrate during the 6 weeks before the areas, and then the rest of the year they just sort of
throw it away?
Yeah, slightly.
Well,
I know that makes people will be appalled by that, but you notice that people ramp their concentration up during this huge event, the area contest. I was never brought up like that. It was just a case of do your best all the time.
All the time.
And I just wonder if the lack of playing this sort of music is hampering bands.
Yeah.
But that brings us on to the early romantic. So what we've called that from the years round about 1810 to 1850.
And this is my favourite era.
It does get more interesting here.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more. You've got to remember that around this time was when bands were starting to take off.
Yeah.
So this was at the time of, these bands forming, developing. This was contemporary music.
Yeah. So the early romantic era of music is one of expressive and dramatic music, and composed and played with a level of drama and emotion not seen in previous eras. Composers touched on themes such as love, the supernatural, and death. Some drew inspiration from history of folk songs and the native country, while others incorporated foreign influences.
Yeah, they start to use composers' own folk music in certain pieces. It's start of that sort of development, which went right on through the Romantic era. But there's loads of instances of bands taking up repertoire from this era.
Yeah.
And much of it, I think, could probably still be used to develop and enhance players, conductors, audiences.
Yeah.
Appreciation of quality music.
Yeah. Do you remember the Hebrides, Fingal's Cave?
Yeah.
By Mendelssohn. George Thompson did a famous arrangement of it.
He did.
I seem to remember.
It's on one of those really old grimy records.
Yeah.
With George Thompson conducting. I think
it's quite dramatic, isn't it?
We re-recorded it in grimy when I was playing. I think Gary was conducting, Gary Cott.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Dick Evans, I can't remember. But it's brilliant music.
It is.
Absolutely brilliant music.
Here are the final moments of the work where the constant turmoil of the musical arguments finally give way to a calm and peaceful ending. Fingal's Cave by Mendelssohn.
So again, you've got an unusual ending, right?
Yeah.
It fades away to next to nothing.
Yeah.
Right. But the music is just so dramatic.
It is.
But again, it takes skill to play it.
Yeah.
And again, some of these pieces that we're going to be mentioning, they're a bit longer. Fingal's Cave is about 9-10 minutes long.
Yeah.
People will think that's outrageously long for a concert now, because everything is full of tidbits.
It holds the interest of the audience, for sure.
You're giving players the chance to develop musical arguments.
Yeah.
And the music, because of its length, does
Yeah.
that. So again, we mentioned about overtures. Rossini.
Now, this is a prolific writer.
Oh, I mean, if top of your head, name me some
Well,
overtures.
Barbara
Rossini.
Seville, there's Thievish Magpie, which is one of my favourites. Italian Girl in Algiers, I like that. Tancredi, I love that.
Tancredi's a favourite, a lot favourite with lower section bands.
And the obvious one is William Tell.
Yeah, the Brassed-Off Connection.
Yeah.
And all that sort of stuff. And again, it's not just a gallop, it's a big, it's a huge, big overture, that. And then there's some lesser known ones as well. You remember the one that Parksy did, La Cenerentola?
Yeah.
We did a Rossini overtures thing at Dyke. The Silken Ladder.
That's hard.
Yeah. There's all sorts of things, but we're not going to look at the overtures. I would like still to think that most banders would be acquainted with the Rossini overtures.
Yeah.
Right. And I think you and I have talked occasionally. I picked a CD up, still got them, still got stuff to play on them, to play them on. The Chamber Orchestra of Europe.
Yeah.
Claudio Abbado conducting. It's a nearly swore there. It's an amazing disc. It's like the music was written last week.
Yeah.
It's the way it's played and the style it's played in. And bands, again, tend to just sort of hack through them.
Yeah.
But you can get loads more out of it than that. But we're not going to listen to
I remember Howard bringing a really famous Rossini piece.
Yeah.
Completely off the wall.
Go on.
The Duet for Two Cats.
Yeah.
Featured Chris Jeans on trombone and Martin Winter on cornet. And I remember him bringing it to Desford, and it was like, oh my God.
What did they say? I mean,
they were gobsmacked. There was just like, and he sent let us all have a recording of the original, which really brought it to life.
Yeah.
But as far as a choreographed number and a piece holding musical interest all the way and put a massive smile on your face, this is the one for me, and it's Rossini's Duet for Two Cats.
So isn't that just great? I mean, and the original was for two female voices.
That's right.
And they're basically imitating the meeting of two cats.
Yes.
Sort of outside on a roof or something at night, and they start arguing, and then they end up falling in love and all this stuff. But the vocal parts are just done to sort of cat noises, like meowing.
Yeah.
And he replicated that obviously with the mutes and the hand movements on the mutes and that. But it's such clever stuff.
He played it at Granada Band of the Year.
I was there. Yeah.
And it absolutely brought the house down.
But the two guys that did it acted it out as well, and
they were outstanding.
It's one of those
that they looked into it all.
It's one of those pieces that, and we've said this before about things, they have to be absolutely owned. So it's no good standing behind the music stand and doing it. You have to memorize these two pieces because the two protagonists in it, they have to be acting to each other and moving and then shunning each other and moving about, and you can't have a music stand in the way.
If anybody wants to see it, I'm sure it's still on YouTube.
It is on YouTube somewhere.
I think it's either 1985 or 86. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, another Rossini number that I've always liked and is very accessible to bands is La Danza.
Yeah. Gordon Langford arrangement.
Yeah.
Again,
Wonderful arrangement. This is.
another great arranger. Only, I don't know, 2.5 minutes long, something
Yep.
like that. Bit of
Fantastic
technique
opening.
involved, but oh God, yeah. Yeah. And again, music that rewards the time that's put in.
Yeah.
You know, it needs precision, it needs fire, passion.
Yeah.
You
So
know.
let's have a listen to Rossini's La Danza.
So another composer from this early Romantic era, which is probably a bit neglected these days, Schubert, Franz Schubert. And I came across this item when I was just doing a bit of research on this. And it used to be played quite a bit back in the day. There are recordings of this. I don't know who made the old arrangement of this, but it's very interesting. I thought that Frode Ryland, Frode
Ryland.
My apologies, Frode. The Norwegian band, the magnificent music.
A wonderful soprano player.
Yeah. Has given this a fresh lick of paint, and I found this on YouTube. It's from Schubert's ballet music for Rosamunde. It's the entr'acte.
This is brilliant.
And it's just a little gem. And critics will say, nobody knows it now. Well, that's because nobody plays it.
Yeah.
So play it.
Well, they're missing out.
This recording, I really fell in love with it straight away. Apologies, I can't remember who's playing it. It is a Norwegian band. It is so classy.
Yeah.
Right? And the music is so simple.
Yeah.
Straightforward, but it's played with such class.
Yeah.
Let's have a listen to this short excerpt from Schubert's Rosamunde.
Isn't that superb, Sandy?
It's just beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the style, the grace, the empathy between players who are moving subtly at the ends of phrases, absolutely together.
Yeah.
In total stylistic harmony.
Yeah.
If you're going to put it like that.
Yeah.
You know, they just, I can't think of any reason why you wouldn't want to play this. But as a benefit to your band.
Yeah, he is another well-loved composer from that era, and he's definitely my favourite, and it's Hector Berlioz.
Yeah, so strangely, about an hour ago, before we started recording this, I was still in the car, Radio 3. Yes, it was an orchestra. Berlioz Carnival Remain Overture. You know, brilliant piece. There are loads of them, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Fairies did a CD, all of Berlioz's stuff.
Yeah, I'm on that. I'm not sure you were you?
No, it was just
it was
before I
George
joined.
Thackeray on Solo.
Yeah, I was just before I joined.
Yeah.
But it's
probably one of the
great
best
stuff.
selling brass band CDs ever made.
Yeah, but there's loads of good stuff. One of the favourites that pot boilers we used to call them is the Corsair Overture.
Yeah.
Here's an excerpt from the Corsair. So that's still stunning music.
Isn't it, Joe?
Today. Yes,
Yeah.
it takes a bit of playing, but I'm sure that more bands would benefit from what this music's got to offer.
Absolutely.
There's a guy here who it's his 250th anniversary of his birth and the 200th anniversary of his death this year.
Wow.
Carl Maria von Weber. So again, we're talking overtures.
Yeah.
There are other things.
It's Oberon, isn't there?
Oberon, yeah. Euryanthe. Abu Hassan's a little overture that was used to be a favourite of lower section bands.
Right.
And then this one, Der Freischütz, the free shooter or the marksman. I remember studying this for O-level music.
Right.
We had to do read scores and analyse forms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into this one. But again, this is music of passion and excitement and drama, and it requires a high degree of execution from players and conductors. Like, why would you not want to use this as a vehicle for developing the playing standards of your band?
Yeah.
You know, people will say, audiences don't want to,
well, I think they're wrong.
Listen to it. I think they're wrong.
You've got to look at the age group of the audiences. Like it or lump it, it's not young. And they want to listen to things that they recognise, and they do recognise quality, most of them.
A lot of this stuff is still standard fare on the likes of Classic FM.
Yeah.
And they put concerts on in the Albert Hall and fill it.
If they're putting it on Classic FM, they're doing it for a reason.
Yeah. So I think that's a...
Shall we have a listen to
let's have a listen to...
The Freischütz by Weber.
I mean, there are loads of honourable mentions here with this sort of era. Glinka's Rustling in the Miller just falls into this era.
There's a fantastic recording of Corey with Bob Charles playing this. It really is zipping.
Right.
It's stunning.
Chopin, Schumann, Meyerbeer, famous march. But there's all sorts of things. You can have a look in your library.
Yeah.
People are always seem to be on the look for something new, but I bet there's stuff that's in your library that's new to your band.
Yeah.
That would still work.
Yeah.
Right. And I just hate this. I think it's a lazy excuse. Oh, it's yellow music. Nobody likes it. Right. I've heard this recently from a friend who's in a local second section band saying they got some supposed yellow music out. And there's some youngsters that, why are we playing this crap? It's crap.
Yeah, probably because they can't play it.
Well, then he went on to say they couldn't get a sniff at it because they can't read. They don't,
yeah.
And yeah, so
this conversation, Sandy, we're having this because make no bones about it, we want bands to get better, and this music is all quality. It's quality source music.
It's seen the test of time.
It's not a second baritone player in the back bedroom. It's an absolute classic composer.
By the second baritone player in the back bedroom writing something.
Yeah.
Song of the Stars or something.
Yeah.
I'm
not decrying it all, but this is quality stuff, quality source material.
For a reason, right?
Yeah.
And we're not saying fill your programs full of this stuff, but if you look at, I see programs posted and there's sort of 20 pieces on them.
Yeah.
Right? Do 15 pieces and make 3 of them proper classical music.
Yeah.
No, don't just keep playing 3-minute stuff.
Yeah.
This is just off the top of my head. Playing an overture like that develops stamina, concentration, right? The ability to play for the length of time that you will be required to do at the area contest.
Yeah, it's got all the different dynamics that you'll ever need to work on.
Everything. And it has the added benefit of if you're asked to play Der Freischütz or Rosamunde or Bach Fugue in G minor, you go back and you listen to the originals, you listen to professional musicians, you listen to Earl of Oxford March played by the Philip Jones Brass Ensemble, for God's sake, right?
Yeah.
And you listen to top-notch examples of how music is played.
Yeah.
Hopefully some of that will rub off on your playing.
Hopefully.
We're going to wrap that up there at the end of the early Romantic era. So in the next podcast, we're going to look at quite a few things. We're going to start looking through the later Romantic era and then into the 20th century and onwards. And we're going to look in more detail at a lot of different things. Some of the reasons that it's become unfashionable to play this type of music, maybe. Yeah. We'll look at some of that. There is a big one for me, and I know I've discussed this with you lots of times. The change in the music copyright laws, which came in the 1980s, which affected new arrangements of copyrighted music. Yeah. I will not go into it now, but there are reasons why this music may have stalled a bit since then.
Yeah.
The benefits of playing this, we have touched on that a bit, and lots more, including some reaction to the Facebook post which we put up, which was asking, do bands still value playing arrangements from the classical music repertoire? And if not, why not? We've got a lot of really good responses.
Yeah.
And we're going to split them up and discuss them. There was, and there was a recognition from a lot of people that it is valuable.
Yeah.
So that's it for this time.
Okay, so that's it for this month. I'd like to thank all the listeners for the comments, observations on this podcast. Some negative, some positive. We're not really bothered either way. I'd like to invite some more comments and for any future topics and discussions. So thanks, listeners, for tuning in and for all your comments we received. See you next time on Smith and Grezzy. Bye for now.